Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as she travels the Vortex and arrive at episode number 408, where it has a very flat team structure. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
That is so not true. This one over here is the Lord High Witch Hunter.
Witchfinder.
Witchfinder.
Witchfinder General.
It's in the title. You'd think I'd remember it.
All because of the editing.
Yeah. Stupid pause in the middle of the thing that's not there.
Did you guys have a good week?
I guess that's kind of a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way. I'm excising the demons.
Yeah, so that's what
really?
What we're calling tangents now, huh?
Gonna go there with it.
Yeah, not a bad week at all. Not a bad week at all. We all kind of got snowed in on Sunday here, but super blizzard 2018.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed by the amount of blizzard snowness there was.
Not only was it impressive the amount of blizzard snowness there was, but I was impressed with the accuracy of the people telling us the blizzard snowness was coming.
Yeah, me too.
And then I got angry at the city for not taking their advice and plowing.
And then in turn getting angry at the school because they kids got two snow days in a row. Holly said in the 14 years that I went to school, I never had 2 snow days in a row ever. Right. And you guys have had more snow days in the last 3 years than I had the whole time I was in school, which I think is crazy. But
we only had a late start.
Yeah, I saw that.
I figured we would get the snow day. I was really hoping because I had Tuesday up to that point off, and having Monday would have made a full week.
Yeah, I took the day after Thanksgiving off. So I had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then 501 closed, and Mel had to work because they were doing this electrician thing, and so it was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll sit home with Shy. So I had a 5th day with the baby. I was ready to go back to work.
A lot of Baby Shark.
No, she's kind of. It's a funny thing. Baby Shark has now become a catch-all for YouTube. So yeah. B Shark could mean anything. Most of it is still not watchable, but.
Did you guys have a good holiday?
Yeah, it was kind of nice. Went over to my house. I had the first Thanksgiving I've had in a long time.
Wow.
Nice. I had to work Friday, but yeah, I was just one of my folks and had a nice dinner. So.
We had family Thursday and extended family on Friday for lunch, which was kind of nice because then it wasn't as big a production. Yeah.
We hosted here for Sarah's parents and my mom.
How did that?
It went pretty well.
Did you guys watch anything this week?
We didn't. Well, I take that back. We watched the Christmas special. Elmo Saves Christmas.
Oh.
There's an Elmo Christmas special?
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh. All right, then.
I've seen it on there, but I've never watched it.
It's from like 1990-something, so it's rather old. I recommend it.
All right.
Sean, did you watch anything?
Did I mention The Grinch last week?
No.
I don't think you did. No.
We went and saw The Grinch, which is fun and delightful and very cute and not as good as the Boris Karloff one. I mean, it just, that's a high bar to
nothing
set.
is going to be.
It's better than the Jim Carrey one. And a lot of that rides on Benedict Cumberbatch. But my one and only complaint is that he's not mean enough. And then we went and saw Fantastic Beasts.
Oh, what'd you think?
It's good. It's very pretty. And
did you think it was dark visually?
It's dark visually. And we saw it in IMAX. For more detailed reviews, go to flickswithfriends.com. flickswfriends.com.
Did you watch anything, Glenn?
I did watch anything.
Just old cartoons?
Old cartoons.
Yeah, what was up with, was it Superman that you were watching? The old Max Fleischer? Or?
No, I watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Rudolph, the Max Fleischer one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I watched, last night I watched Jack Frost. I like nostalgic classic Christmas, and I've been having trouble sleeping lately, so I'll fire a couple of those up and watch them. And
you want me to come over and read to you?
Might need you to. You read The Night Before Christmas?
No, I have a phone book. Guaranteed.
What's
Put your right
that?
out. What?
A phone book.
Yeah, what's that?
It's an ancient artifact.
Yeah.
What's in the news, Keith?
Oh, there's so much in the news. First up, did you guys see the image for the New Year's special that they released?
I did.
Scarf.
Sean, what do you not like about the scarf?
It's too short.
It is a pretty short
The
scarf.
stripes are going the wrong direction.
They don't line up with it. No, I mean, she's got it wrapped, I don't know, like 15 times around her neck, but it still only comes up to here on her shoulders. So it's like,
It's hard to tell
all right.
how long it's going to actually
Yeah,
be.
it's a scarf. I'm fine. I like scarves, so I'm totally fine with
I
that.
think it's a pretty scarf.
It is a pretty scarf.
And they have confirmed that the episode will air or will take place during New Year's celebration.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
Have they confirmed that the coat changed color? I saw the cosplayers going bonkers
I
over.
did not know.
It may just be that particular
It's a
coat
lighting
is that.
thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably is.
Because this one really looked beige, and I was like, I'm not wading into that.
I thought it looked blue.
It's black and gold, Keith. Get it right.
Blue and white, right?
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Also in the news, just announced.
Like an hour ago.
Yeah, Tom Baker's final season will be the next installment for the Blu-ray collection.
So are they doing that because we're getting we just recently got
Peter
Davis's first
I'm
season.
guessing.
They decided, well, we probably
Tom
kind of
sold
messed
really
that up.
well,
We need
and-
to show how we got to this point.
And then they'll go back, and the next one to be released will be Pertwee's last season.
I had sort of hoped that they would do everybody's first season before they went back and started doing other ones, but I think probably they're looking at the sales of Tom Baker's first season.
I'm kind of surprised they're not going back to Tom's second season, because I think that's critically better
except
acclaimed
for,
than the final.
like I
aside
say,
from the
they-
build-up to.
Like I say, they
Peter
looked at it though
Davison.
and maybe thought, well, we're not giving people a lot of context here for Peter Davison, so maybe we ought to go back and.
It may also be simpler from the standpoint that, when you're releasing these, Peter Davison only had 3 seasons, Tom has 7. We're going to have to sprinkle more
It's
of
true.
his
Maybe
in
they're
throughout the
sprinkling.
release.
Yeah, maybe they are sprinkling
Yeah.
more of Tom's in.
And just decided that since Peter was like, well, we'll go ahead and do this one, and then we'll come back to it. And
That
then
very well could
we'll
be.
do a 7th Doctor season, and then we'll come back to Tom. And then we'll do a 6th Doctor, and then we'll come back to Tom.
Well, they won't do 6 right away, probably. He's
Yeah,
only
no,
got
I
2 seasons.
kind of doubt. Poor Sixie.
Yeah.
I like the artwork.
Yeah.
I'm
They're
excited about
continuing
that.
with the artwork.
This is
Same
the first
style.
time hearing of it, so I'm very excited.
It's going to come out February 25th in the UK. There is not an international release announcement yet. Those details will be forthcoming. And, of course, there is going to be a smattering and plethora of special features.
A smattering.
And plethora.
And
Plethora.
That's
And it's
kind
going,
isn't that kind of contradictory? A smattering and a plethora? That's kind of...
a smattering of new bonus features and a plethora of overall new bonus
it's got
features.
you there.
I got you. Okay,
Ah.
that makes sense.
Do you know what a plethora is?
It's also going to include Canine and Company.
Wow, okay.
Really?
I guess.
Why?
When did it air originally? Was it in between seasons?
I'm not sure what year that came out, but it would have been very late in Tom Baker's run. so-
Maybe that is era appropriate.
I mean, it released with
I know they released it on DVD with Invisible Enemy.
Invisible Enemy, yeah.
But that's because that was K-9's first episode. So
Right.
he wouldn't have gotten a spinoff until later. But
Interesting.
1981 was the December 28th, 1981.
It would have been late. Okay. I'm all right with it. Keith is now
Now I'm going
going to have to buy it.
have to pick that box set up.
K-9 and Company on Blu-ray.
Replace my DVD with a Blu-ray set.
That theme song in HD
You
surround.
can't replace your DVD until they release the season that has Invisible Enemy.
That's true. Yes. Just that disc. Just take the disc out and
Take
toss
that
it.
one disc out and toss it. Wait, was that a double disc set?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, K-9 and Company got all the works, the whole disc just to itself.
Yeah.
It was fancy.
Speaking of Tom Baker,
They also have announced that the novel based off of his idea for a movie, which then turned
he and Ian Marters.
yes, he and Ian Martyr's idea for a movie turned into a Doctor Who script is going to be novelized. Scratchman, which is going to be co-written.
Is it just called Scratchman?
That's what this
'Cause
is.
the
Doctor
ori-
Who Scratchman.
The original title was going to be Doctor Who and the Scratchman.
They dropped the "and" for the novelization. So this article doesn't mention, but I had heard somewhere that it was going to be also co-written by James Goss
Oh.
to help novelize it. But this article doesn't say anything about it, so I don't know.
I'm pretty
if
sure
that's
Tom's not writing it on his own.
Yeah. He is doing the audiobook,
Cool.
which we will be able to pick up. That comes out January 24th.
And
In
it
the
hasn't,
U.S.?
I'm assuming everywhere since the book.
Terrific.
it hasn't been announced yet, but I'm sure he'll be doing the Big Finish audio version.
Eventually. At some
Eventually.
point.
Speaking of Big Finish,
Speaking of Big Finish, there's a lot of Big Finish news. First up, Mags is returning for a story with the Seventh Doctor.
Okay.
who?
I feel compelled to comment on this because it was twofold. We just had the conversation about Big Finish is grabbing anybody and everybody that they can, and let's shoehorn some more stories in there with, that guy that played that guard from episode 15. Yeah, we'll bring him back and we'll do something.
They are?
Yeah. You didn't hear that one?
Wow, I
Yeah.
didn't hear
That's an exciting one.
With new monsters.
Oh, wow.
In a box set with River Song. Anyway, so we just had the absurd level of, wow, there's a lot of stuff coming out. And then this news hit. And my first instinct was to go back to what I had said when we watched Greatest Show. I was like, man, I want Mags as a companion because she was cool.
That's why they're bringing her back.
And I'm now eating my words from last week. Damn you, Big Finish. You got me again.
So it's going to be some
corner.
3 main range adventures with Mags and the Seventh Doctor.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
As long as they don't bring back that girl from Delta and the Bannerman, I'll be okay with that.
God, please no.
Big Finish presents Delta and the Doctor. Oh, she wasn't Delta, though.
No, what Delta? No, I can't remember her name. I was trying so hard to forget her voice.
Yeah. Other bits of Big Finish news. The Time War is continuing, this time in a box set for Gallifrey.
Oh,
They've
cool.
announced the Gallifrey, The Time War, Volume 1, 2, and 3.
Wow.
And I think the biggest piece of the news for me in regards to that is, who's in it?
Lala Ward. She's been in all of Gallifrey.
I know, but the fact that we are now getting
a confirmation that she was alive during the time.
Confirmation and canonical, she's still president, all the way up to.
Oh, does it say she's still president?
Yes. Come
Okay.
on.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sure. I don't know. Looks like Rassilon's there, so not for long.
No, well, yeah, that's a knockdown drag out I'm ready for.
Yeah. And our last bit of Big Finish news is we are getting a Rose Tyler box set.
That's mean. I'm sorry.
Yay.
Of her time in Pete's World.
I think that'll be kind of neat.
How she fights to get back to, our universe. Complete with Camille Cordry and the guy who played Pete.
I like that. I think that's a great idea. It's an area that hasn't been farmed. If you don't like it, you don't have to buy it.
Why was that directed to me? Sheesh, Glenn. Yeah, okay.
It also has Clive back in it.
Oh, well then, yeah. Clive, now. There's a guy that's...
But not Mickey?
Not Mickey.
Huh.
Clive should have his own box set.
He should.
Unexplained occurrences and events and whatnot. No, I just feel... I understand why, because that, for me, falls under the prequel rules where...
Well, hang on. Let's put... the second reason why. The first reason why is money.
Oh, yeah.
The second reason why... Oh, yeah, duh.
Yeah, no.
I know what given.
But no, the first reason why I would be upset over that is that it's a prequel rule. That I know she's going to get there. I know that there's no danger you can put any of these characters in within.
Well, that could be said about any Big Finish stuff.
Story. Yeah, but it's different.
What do you mean? No, it's not.
No, because they've pulled the wool over my eyes on more than one.
Well, maybe they will on this one. That's my
probably
point.
not.
I mean, everything that Big Finish is doing in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Doctor ranges are all prequels.
I understand that. And there's a part of me that's like, prequel. If you're going to do a Rose story, I would much rather see Rose after she gets back and goes on adventures. But I understand the reason you can't do that is because now you've introduced the clone 10th Doctor as a love interest, and there's no way to reconcile that and make people happy.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's just that's an area you have to stay away from. So if you're going to do Pete's World, you've got to do this opening versus this opening. I get it. I just don't know that.
I think it's a good idea.
I think what's interesting about it is the fact that she's not going to fight alien threats or actual villains. It's issues.
It's like going to the mall and
Yeah, exactly. Shopping.
visiting grandma.
They are instead focusing on like human characters and conflicts with them and a dying universe. So it's more of situational as opposed to threats or villains, I guess, more than threats. There are threats, but there's not, Daleks or Cybermen she has to defeat on her own. It's other issues. It'd be interesting to see how they make that work.
Again, that's probably also
Listen
a
to
good
Rose
idea.
deal with her issues.
And miss the Doctor.
You're not instilling me with a lot of confidence, I gotta be honest.
There's a trailer you can go listen to, Sean. Maybe that will instill
Maybe I'll
you
go
with
listen to the trailer.
with, hope. The Dimension Canon coming out in September 2019.
Timber. Wow. Next year.
So quite a ways away.
Any other Big Finish news?
That is all the big
Oh,
finish.
no
news.
segue. Okay, well, what's next?
The last bit of news comes from our friends over at Candy Jar Books. They announced today a new book, a new novel called Downtime, Children of the New World.
Just Downtime 2.
Downtime
Children.
2, Children of the New World, by Andy Frankham Allen,
Oh, I'm so excited.
which reunites the Brig and Kate.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Are you sure it wasn't Downtime 2 Electric Boogaloo?
I tried to convince Andy to name it that, and he just wouldn't go for it.
And he said, did Sean put you up to that? I'm excited.
I can
am
tell you're excited.
So excited.
The excitement waves pounded off of you through the computer screen when we got that news earlier. I felt like I had to push myself away from the desk just a little bit so that I wasn't knocked back across the room from the excitement.
Although, it will jive with the real-time video, not so much the book novelization of the story. But
there's a book?
I'm going to go in there again. I'm more excited about that than Tom coming out on season, what was it, last season? 26?
Final season.
7?
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
It picks up the story told in Downtime, which saw the Brig and his daughter join forces with Doctor Who companions Sarah Jane and Victoria to defeat the Great Intelligence. Although a sequel, the novel is intentionally written to stand on its own. So if you don't know, or I can't get a copy of Downtime, you can still read this and be okay.
Well, I'll help you get a copy of Downtime.
Please direct all inquiries to Glenn at travelingthevortex.com. Traveling the Vortex cannot be held liable.
I'm going to direct them to a place to buy a legal copy of Downtime.
Okay.
I'm not going to give them a bootleg or something.
Just wanted to make sure.
Which
So
I
you
might
can-
have 2 or 3 versions of.
CYA.
You can pre-order a standard paperback, or there's a limited hardback edition, which will be signed by Andy Franklin Allen.
Well, that's what I'm getting right
and
there.
will feature an exclusive foreword by the original Kate Lethbridge Stewart actor, Beverly Cressman.
Oh, cool. That's neat.
So
I have it on good
There's
authority.
only-
Will also feature an exclusive foreword by Glenn Bartlett saying, "This is how long I've hounded Andy into writing this story."
I'm just ecstatic.
You better get busy writing that.
You remember, what was it, 3-4 years ago when
yeah.
I brought up Downtime, and I kind of got we don't really count down. Look how far we've come.
he's made it all work just for you.
He has made it all work just for me.
There's only going to be 50 copies of that hardback version.
Oh, I'm
so you
putting
better
my
get on
order
that
in
quickly.
now. Put my order in now.
They also announced that The Forgotten Son, Mutually Assured Domination, and Havoc Files 2 are getting reprinted.
I saw that with new covers,
With
which
new
I think
covers.
are pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Okay, so now my question was, I saw that piece of news and was like, "Ooh, cool!" Because I really, really like the new artwork. I don't know if I've said that or not, but I really like the new artwork. But then I was confused. were those sample covers of the stuff that's coming, or is it just those 3?
Just these 3 are getting
Just
reprinted.
those 3 were officially announced.
At this time? Okay.
Yes.
He adds the at this time.
At this time.
At this time.
The Omni rumor is not true. At this time. I'm not wrong.
Sean, what do you think of the art?
Oh, I love it.
It's gorgeous art.
It really is. I mean, it was. We started with gorgeous artwork, so it was like, how can you improve it?
Art,
oh,
yeah.
You did. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. It's sharp, and it's still, it still echoes back to the, it's not a complete reworking of it. It still
Yeah, they
uses
took
elements of it.
the old images and they didn't redraw anything. They just reworked them.
Rework their
Brought
style.
them into the new style. Which, of course, I think is just a clever ploy to get at those of us that are a little twitchy about covers to buy another
Buy
set
more
of them.
books.
Andy.
They're clever. That's it for news.
Cool. Shall we move on to feedback?
Yes. Our feedback this week comes from Holly.
And Holly writes, The Witch Hunters. Hey guys, have to say this was a good episode that kept my attention. Alan Cummings as King James was good. The only other role that I have seen him in was on the CBS show called Instinct. What?
Surely you've seen X2
Yeah. He was Nightcrawler in the X-Men movies. He was
movie. He was only in one of
He
them.
was only in one of them. He was in the good one. He was in X2. He was I'm Invincible in Goldeneye and the Spy Kids. One of those. I don't remember which one.
He was in Spy Kids 2, I think.
2. Is it 2?
No, maybe it was the first one.
He's in that one. Go
He's
look
the
him up.
antagonist in one of those.
Instinct. Great. I'm sorry, Holly. I'm playing with you. Great moments again with the Doctor and companions and who they were with at the time. The Morax made an interesting villain as well. Also got to love the use of the psychic paper. I'll wrap it up here. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly. And I sort of think Holly's been very consistent. 8 episodes of Doctor Who now this season, and every one of them she has submitted feedback. I challenge you at the end of series 11 to come up with a feedback song specifically for Holly.
Ooh.
Okay.
I think she deserves it.
I think she deserves it. I'll go one step further.
Now, granted, she's got to send feedback for the next 3, but
The pressure's on now, Holly, because we are including the holiday special.
Right,
You
right.
got it. So you've got 3.
no, wait a minute.
No, that's part of the season.
No, that's just going to give you longer to write it. I just want you to have 3 weeks. All right, to the holiday special.
To the holiday special. So you've got 3 more episodes that you got to send in your feedback for. And I'm going to one-up Glenn. I'm going to say if you send us feedback on those other 3 specials, Holly, since you've been so diligent and dare I say religious about it, I'm going to dip into the prize vault and send you a little something.
Ooh.
As a thank you for being there. So that it doesn't feel like we're shouting into the
You'll have to
void
get
week
the
after
key
week.
to the vault from Keith. But
I know where he keeps it. It's in the coffee can behind the stove on the shelf.
Keith, with other people, Keith,
Along with his house keys.
Keith,
The combination to
if
his
other
safe.
people want to send feedback, how can they do that?
They can send it directly to feedback@trailingthevortex.com, or if you are on our website looking at any of our posts or clicking on any links within there, you can click on the tab that says send us feedback and just fill out that form. Or if you happen to see one of our posts on Facebook and click through to our profile, there's also a send us an email option, which will send it to all the same place.
Yay! Well, shall we do our review?
Let's.
Yes, let's.
The Dr. Ryan, Graham, and Yaz arrive in the 17th century Lancashire. I practiced that earlier and still screwed it up.
Lancashire.
Lancashire. And become
Still not right.
embroiled in a witch trial run by the local landowner. As fear stalks the land, the arrival of King James I only serves to intensify the witch hunt. But is there something even more dangerous at work? Can the Doctor and friends keep the people of Bilehurst Crag safe from all the forces that are massing in the land?
Yay! I really like this one. Fake job.
I thought you were. I kind of assumed you.
I totally missed it. What was he doing?
He held up his phone like he had the horn.
Oh.
Doesn't translate well to audio.
Hang on, let me find it. Go ahead, Sean. What'd you think?
I really liked it.
Why did you really like
Why
it?
did I really? It wasn't.
You've been the most critical, so you got to start and tell us why you liked this.
It wasn't kerblam.
Keith, what did you think?
We've had episodes very similar to this where we've landed in a historical, and I'm using air quotes, period that has alien influence. And it was like, oh, great, yes, I've missed this. We haven't really had one like this.
This would be a historical. This fits the qualifications because we have an actual...
No, this would be a period.
No, this would be historical. Period land into places where everything is made up, but it happens to fit in a certain time frame. Historicals are when they show up and they meet historical people with historical events. Now,
so Rosa was historical.
Rosa was historical. Punjab was historical. Well, we don't
real events.
But the event was happening, but that doesn't necessarily. Usually, the other caveat to that would be you have to have an actual familiar character from history. Now,
always an asterisk.
There's an asterisk for this particular story because there's no record of this happening because of the events that happened in this, and it only has a historical character in this one. So this one also blurs that line as well. But
okay, so
in the grand scope of things, it happened in events that occurred.
Yes, but you could say that about any period piece because there's something going on at that time that you can look at the history book and say this was happening at this time. So,
but if it's about some of those, don't name drop those.
So your homework assignment is to go back through 55 years of Doctor Who and put asterisks next to all the ones that are historicals, but not really, so that I can keep it straight.
Hey, I'm the one that came up with period, so let's go.
And then you have to defend your position. But I don't feel like we've had whereas the others were more, and I'm going to use air quotes again, true historicals because there was no alien influence. It was just the people. I mean, okay, Rosa had an alien.
I'm gonna jump in here again. There are no pure historicals. They all have a sci-fi element to them, so you can't use that as a marker for historical. That's my point. Historicals are
the Aztecs.
Still, there's a element of the fact that you've got time travelers in the Aztec times. Yeah. Same thing with the gunfighters. Yes, those are the ones that are probably closest to what you're defining as a historical. But the point is, there's still a sci-fi element to all of them.
Well, because it's a sci-fi show.
Historicals have to do with the fact that they show up in events that are recorded in history, and there's always a name that's been recorded in the history books as well. So that's my point.
Gunfighters.
That's the division. Yes, exactly.
That's historical.
Yes, that is historical. That's my point.
Okay.
But so is...
I'll expect your book report by the end of the
week. Go proceed.
My point is we haven't had one of those this season that has felt right because the only other ones that we've had in this vein are Rosa, which did have a time travel interference element to it, but he was not very cool. And then Demons of the Punjab, which didn't. It was more of a pure event in the past that might be history, but we don't know because they didn't name drop anybody in the episode. There, are you happy? So I liked the fact of that. I like that we got.
Why didn't it have? Why do you say Punjab didn't have a?
I think what he's trying to say is this one had a.
There was no alien in Punjab.
There was.
Yes, there was. The Watchers.
The people who watched. There was no alien.
Oh yeah, there was. Well, but they weren't influencing things. They were just there.
Well, yeah, but they were there, and that was the reason why the guy thought they were seeing demons. So they were influencing things, because they were influencing the people to think that demons.
They just weren't evil.
Okay, well then you just made my point because all three of these that have happened so far this season have been episodes that I've liked. So, let me back up so I can get there. I liked the setting. I liked the feel of it. I enjoyed, once again, the character interactions. I loved the pairing offs. I love Alan Cummings. He's fantastic in just about everything. If you're not familiar with him other than from Instinct, go look him up because he's really good in just about everything he does. And once again, in true, fantastic, historical Doctor Who fashion, I went and did some research on King James afterwards because I was curious. I honestly didn't know that
He wrote a Bible.
that there was a Bible. I didn't know that
You
that was
didn't know there was a Bible?
Well, I didn't know that was the same guy.
The King James Bible?
Yeah.
You knew there was a Bible.
I knew
you
there
didn't
was
know
a
this guy was connected.
I knew there was a
Okay,
Bible
all right.
called the
Did you know
King
there-
James edition. I didn't know that, and I knew that there was a King James in history. I never thought to put the two of them together.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I know I'm a heathen. Anyway,
Well, to defend you, there. Who know how many King James were there?
2 so far, I think.
Okay, I thought there were more than that. But
No, I think there's
yeah, I mean,
You would think,
with
right?
British royalty, you never know how many kings or queens
with
there
James,
were.
yeah,
It could have been any.
There were a few richer. I just watched a YouTube thing on the timeline of kings.
Oh, really?
Brenda is at home right now. Tappity, 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 tappity.
I'm sure we'll
There
find
could-
out next week.
Regardless, there could have been multiple King Jameses, and any one of them could have written the Bible.
Yeah, but wouldn't it have been the King James the second Bible if it was the second
No,
one? I
that's
mean, they
too
don't
much.
call him the first. You don't say King James the first until after the second.
I
comes
never
along.
thought of that connection either.
What?
The King James the second Bible. Yeah.
Okay, go.
No, that's another. I'm a very I'm a very clueless individual when it comes to royalty. I think I've made that point on multiple occasions now. And
Oh, I'm no expert. So.
I never put those two things together. It makes total sense. The rise of the Roman Catholic. Yeah, okay, but I just never thought about it. So that to me was something new that I learned from the episode. Which Doctor Who's teaching you history. Look out. I also learned that he was the first king to rule both Scotland and England at the same time, if I'm not
that was
mistaken.
James, yes.
And so that was kind of a big deal. Anyway, so I like that. I like the characterization. And we're sitting there watching it, and it was full of these little moments like, okay, we're going to put the woman in the thing, and if you drowned, you're innocent, and if you survive, you're a witch. And Mel looked at me and went, what?
It really highlighted the absurdity of the witch trials.
Well, and that's what I said. Everybody laughs really hard at Monty Python when, so she weighs the same as a duck. She's made of wood, and therefore a witch, because you can burn wood, right? Everybody laughs at that. But it's not that far off from what was really going on.
That is exactly what they did in the witch trials in the UK at the time. That was how they judged them. If they drowned, and they were not a witch, and if they survived, they were.
Well, wasn't there pretty
it's a
similar ones
catch-22.
for even the ones witch trials here?
Catch-22. Well, it was if they don't burn, they're not a witch.
Yeah. But so it was full of those kind of moments that I just really appreciated and enjoyed. The interactions between King James and Ryan, nearly having to beat him off with a stick, was just fantastic. And this finally, we kind of got to that moment where I've wondered how they were going to get there. We have a female doctor. At some point, it's got to be addressed within an episode. Just, they're going to do it. I'm not saying I wanted it to be addressed, but I've kind of just been waiting.
The absurd sexism of history.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this was the way to do it. To put her in a historical period where the sexism was so rampant. And not just anybody calling her out. The King of England calling her out on it. And putting her in her place. And not really being able to fight back against that. I thought that was really cool. Not because I'm a sexist, but because it was a justifiable reason to call it out. Versus any of the number of things they could have done, which would have been horrible.
Which, and for the most part, up till now, they've pretty much ignored the gender switch.
Yeah, and this
is our first true in-depth acknowledgement that she's a different gender now.
And we've had little line drops, but nothing concrete.
No plot points.
Yeah, exactly. And
I agree with that because they have addressed it
they've
on a minor level.
It, yes.
But this is the first time it became a plot point.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And this was the way to do it. It wasn't going out and inventing a futuristic society where all the women were slaves, and you didn't have to go there. You just had to look back in our shady past and go, "Yep, there's a good chapter to pull from," and present it. And so now I feel like that's done. We don't have to do that again. We don't have to acknowledge it again. We've done it, and we can move on from it. And so that, to me, is almost a monkey off the back of the people who have been, it's like, here, we did it, okay? Are you happy? And we did it well. Move on. So I thought that was really cool, just from that standpoint, that it was something that they finally acknowledged, but they did it so well that now it's like, you don't have to ever go back and do it again. You brought it up, you did it, boom, done. I loved the interplay during that scene where my hero Graham comes to the, just whips out the Sonic. Oh, you're the assistant. What? It must be him. And Graham's like, yep. Came down from the northern chapter, and he's just on it. He's just BSing his way through. I love that Graham has so much random, useless information at his fact point. That because he was a bus driver, he knew all about the Rosa Parks stuff. That in this one, I took the tour. I know all about that. This wasn't on it. We don't, I love Graham.
And that's one of the nice things of having that sort of things lie at the feet of a companion who's older.
Yeah.
It's believable that he would go on this sort of thing or just know all this random knowledge because he's been around longer. If it was Yaz or Ryan, it would be a little harder pill to swallow.
Yeah. I took the ghost tour for class. You could make it work, but Graham, totally buy it.
Yeah.
This is something he does on weekends with Grace, and they just went out and, you want to take the tour? Yeah, let's go take the tour. Okay. I love the humanity that Graham brings to the role. It's just awesome. I liked the fact that once the slimy mud tentacle people showed up and then turned into zombies, the episode timbre changed. Tonally, it became, this is actually kind of I don't want to say scary, but it's kind of intense.
The mud zombies were kind of creepy.
Yeah, creepy. Good word. Okay, yeah. We're getting some creep vibe. Whereas before it was kind of humorously done in a sad way, but this was more of a okay. This went straight up creepy. And as we got through the resolution of that, they went and grabbed the axe, and Mel was like, "Why do they want the axe? Why?" And I was like, "Well, it's got to be like the control rod to a spaceship or something." And she stole it. Didn't see at all that this was the lock, and that she built the stupid chair out of the tree. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." I don't know. It felt like a proper good Big Finish adventure, and it was a roaring good time, and it had good performances, and I thought the makeup was good. Once again, fantastic location shoots. It was a field and some mud, but it looked good. I liked it. It made me happy. Mel did not. Mel didn't like it at all. She thought it was boring. She didn't think it was as boring as Kerblam. But
I'm in your seat from last week because I thought it was boring.
Oh, now I need to defend it more.
I thought it was boring. There were a lot of nothing going on. I was really disappointed with the fact that the companions just are doing things. They aren't doing anything productive. They're just doing things. I agree. I loved the little dynamic between the King and Ryan. By the time we get to the end of the series, I'm going to get it right. I did like the little dynamic. I don't. You said beat him off with a stick, and I felt like that it was. I thought there was a lot of subtlety there. I thought that it was obvious the tension that the King was generating, but I really felt like Ryan handled it really well. He would have these quick, clever things to say that would, so that it wouldn't escalate. And I thought that was great. I thought that worked so well. I thought that was perfect. Alan Cumming as the King was terrific. I absolutely loved his performance. He was really good. I thought there was a lot of times it was boring. And again, I come from the perspective you had last week, is I had predicted what was going to happen. I felt it was very predictable that she was probably being influenced, and she was. Ultimately, she's possessed, but I think I kind of got to that when they got to the fact that she'd released the tree after we had seen released the beings after we'd seen the mud monster. So I thought, the mud monster must be in her. And I also, even to the point, thought, these creatures must be coming after her, and that's why she has an axe under her bed, because she's afraid of them. Now, ultimately, the axe also played into the fact that that's what she cut the tree down with. But I saw all that really early on, and so then I'm in a position of, okay, let's just get there and reveal this stuff so that I can be right. And ultimately I was right. And that's another thing when I watch episodes, a lot of times I go, I've guessed it. I've figured it out. And then they get to the point where I realize, oh, I hadn't figured it out. And so it makes it even more exciting. So to get to these points and go, okay, I saw that coming. So
That's very much what I went through last week.
I don't think it was a bad episode. In fact, I'm still enjoying it. I'm enjoying the performances. I just felt like the companions are very underserved. I think Graham has some great lines. I think he's got the most to do, I think, as far as the dialogue goes. But Yaz and Ryan had nothing to do but Ryan follow him around, and Yaz, when she goes to find the girl to investigate what's going on there, that's really her only scene. The rest of the time is her just kind of wandering around with them. So the other thing that I had, not going into it, the benefit of, was the ignorance of the time. I knew who King Richard was, or King James was. I knew who I knew about how they did the witch trials. I knew there was a lot about it that wasn't a revelation to me, because I knew about the time. I knew about the in fact, I was telling Caitlin, because we started watching it, and she said, the witch trials, I don't understand it, period. So I was, even before they started showing us the dunking chair, I was telling her about, well, this is how they would test witchcraft back there. And I basically explained to her how they did it. And then they showed it to us, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so it's gonna be that." And
it's that episode.
Yeah, I was already going there by the time we got there. So again, reversing perspectives. Like, if everything that you talked about last week with Capernaum that I didn't agree with, now I'm looking at it from another perspective and going, I agree with all of the points you're making, but for me, I was in that position this week where it's like, this was just an okay episode.
Yeah. I will give you the companions were a little underutilized from the standpoint that, and this has kind of been an ongoing thing over the whole season. They run from point A to point B and back. Go check that out and come back and report. Go check that out and come back and report. And so many of the episodes have featured that. And when this one happened, I'm going to go check on her. Okay, I'm going to go over here with these guys. Bring a phone. You can doctor these things up that you can call anywhere in the universe. You can call each other.
Yeah.
You don't need to run back and go find the doctor. Pull it out and go, dude, there was a mud monster here. You know?
That's a good point.
The other thing is, too, this kind of thing is bound to happen with this many companions.
Yeah.
And I think they've been doing a really good job for the previous 7 episodes to give them all something to do. There are a few where I think they're weaker, but so when it comes across an episode where it is very much nothing for them to do, I'm almost a little more forgiving, because I'm like, okay, you've done a really good job so far.
Well, we had a huge influx of additional cast members this week, and that. To your other point, as far as being predictable with the one lady, the lady of the manor, I feel in a way kind of bad. Once they established her as a religious zealot, just kind of rolled with it, because we've had so many religious zealots that are, they can be that crazy. And so the fact that she was alien influenced really didn't even factor into it. And then once it did, it was like, oh, okay, I guess I kind of like her marginally better now that she's not just committing murders in the name of, not having
just
Satan around.
Genuinely scared and thinking that she's having to excise Satan.
But
see, and
we've been monopolizing this. Keith, go for it.
I was really enjoying it, and the more the aliens started coming into it, the less I enjoyed it. Because because this season has so far tried to subvert my expectations every time, with every episode of, here's what I know what Doctor Who normally does, and we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to focus more on the racism in Rosa as opposed to whatever alien menace there might be. The aliens and demons of the Punjab aren't actually there manipulating things, and just there more as to observe. I kind of went in expecting that, and was disappointed when I got a more.
You got a Doctor Who story.
I got a standard Doctor Who story, and I was disappointed by it, because the material was so ripe that you could have done so much just with them trying to stop a religious zealot of the time period. There's enough there that they could have done it. And I think that might have been a better story. That being said, as it played out, it was, oh, okay, yeah, all right, okay. That makes sense.
I wonder if you have to, even in a science fiction setting like Doctor Who, when you go the religious zealot route, even if it's historical.
Feel like you have to justify it so you don't piss off the people of the same religion.
I just wonder if that was maybe let's soften that edge up just a little bit and push more on the alien influence in just to make sure that we're there. It could be. I don't know.
It also kind of felt a lot to me like the I'm blanking on the episode title. The episode written by Rona Munro last season.
Oh, Survival.
No, the other one.
The other one.
Because of the, underground, almost locked prison type thing.
Oh yeah.
That whole aspect of it felt very
Scotland.
Similar. Yeah. It felt very familiar to me.
What was it called?
What was that one
With
called?
that dimensional gate.
And the beastie.
Yeah. God, I forgot what it was called.
That being said, I thought the mud creatures were very creepy, and once they revealed, here's the alien menace, I wasn't quite sure what direction they were going to go until they revealed it, and then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I should have seen that coming.
The Eaters of Light.
That's what it was called, yeah.
I knew it had one of those weird titles, but...
It was an okay story, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
the fact that it's Alan Cumming as King James elevates it a little bit more than any of the other stories. But as far as it's a solid story. It just didn't live up to my hopes and the expectations this season has had so far. As in the scope of Doctor Who, this is a good historical. But in the scope of the season, it's lesser.
Yeah, agreed.
Because everything else in the season has been phenomenal.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you on that.
I can't... There aren't major plot holes that I can think of in the story that I can pick at.
No.
It's just not what I wanted, I guess, more than anything else.
It's just not as entertaining as some of the ones that have come before. There are no flaws as far as plot goes.
Had this been the first historical of the story, I probably would have loved it up and down. But after Rosa, after Demons of the Punjab, it's just a disappointment because we're not tackling as much of the other issues that we could have in the historical setting.
That's an interesting point, is that maybe the reception would be better had this come earlier in the season before we went weighty.
Well, and I think that's part of, not to pick on you or anything, but that's part of why I think you like this one more, is it fits your this is my Doctor Who mold way more than anything else this season has done.
Yeah, no, it definitely...
It's in your comfort zone.
Yes,
and
I will totally agree with that.
I've been enjoying the fact that it's taken us out of our comfort zone so much that to be put back into it feels like a disappointment.
I agree. It's almost like a return to the status quo.
Yeah. And I think there was a little bit of that last week too, and I didn't recognize it until now. That part of why I thought last week was just an okay episode was it felt a little bit more back to a status quo.
Well, when you're dealing with Doctor Who and you're dealing with a show that's been 55 years. We've got alien invasion, base under siege, the 10 little Indians. You've got those bump beats throughout it, and so there's only so many of those that I think it was Tolstoy that said there are only 3 stories. There's Man Goes on a Journey, Stranger Comes to Town, and Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And that's it. That's all you've got. So. The fact that they've been doing it for this long, it's kind of like, all right, it's a Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla episode. I'm okay with that.
Has Big Finish done a story in the Witch trials
Surely
previously? Because that's such a good setting for them to do
it's
it with.
It's possible, though.
Well, I think that was one of the other things that I appreciated about it is like, boom, witchcraft. And we're dealing with 3 modern-day companions. We're dealing with the Doctor. Everybody knows that witchcraft is not a thing. But
but it is, because there was those gals that from I can't remember what they were called.
But the word demons, yeah. But we didn't have to go through the whole witchcraft isn't a thing. I mean, we did. We had to hit. We had to.
They had to drive that point.
We had to hit the no-mages over the head with it. But just none of them had to be. None of them questioned it. Right. None of them went to the Doctor and said, "What, magic?" No, and we didn't get the speech. We didn't get the, no, magic's not a thing. It's blah, blah. We got the line at the end. Any high science is indistinguishable from magic, which was a nice place to put that. If we're going to put it anywhere in the episode, let's put it at the end because we know it's coming. But, see what I did there. But, yeah, no, I'll freely admit this is very much this is my Doctor Who. This is what I like, is this kind of story. That's not to say that when they've pushed the envelope on these other ones like Rosa and the Punjab, those were fantastic. This isn't up to that level. No. But this was just a really nice, solid, enjoyable romp for me. Yeah. And this is kind of where, I liked it probably better than the Stitch episode, because I can't pronounce that one.
That's
that one.
Yes.
Sununga.
The Sununga Conundrum. I think I liked it better than that one, but it's not, it's not up with the other two.
I'd still put it above most previous historicals outside this season. Vincent and the Doctor notwithstanding.
Yeah, that's a high bar.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting discussion topic.
That would.
Historicals with an asterisk next to it. And quotation marks.
Anything else you want to just going to discuss about this one? I don't want anybody to think I didn't like the story, because I did. I liked it. It's still
and enjoyable. The performances were still phenomenal.
This was finally the valley for me.
So. You're being much less vehement about this one than I was last week. I'll give you that.
Well,
of course, you had the benchmark to go off of. I can't do that.
Well, no. I think coming from your perspective, though, is you have felt frustrated the entire season. I've been elated the entire season. So it wasn't as much of a fall for me, or there wasn't much of a drag on me. I wasn't just slodging up that hill trying to go, okay, eventually I'm going to get a good episode. Whereas I've been, okay, maybe it's okay to come down the other side of the mountain for a little bit. Yeah. So, no, I don't think I was as stricken by it as you were by Cumberland. But cool.
I'm sorry you thought it was boring.
There were some exciting moments in it. There was some fun to be had there. There was long, dry, drawn out moments that I kind of thought, okay. Oh, this was another thing I wanted to address. There was a point in this one, and this happened one other time this season, and it makes me wonder if it's become an editing gimmick when they're story editing these, when they're editing down the stories for these, that the things use the big pulse thing, and all of a sudden everybody's waking up later.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing happened with the mine on that planet. Of course, it happened very early. And there was another situation this year where they used that device to advance the story. And it makes me wonder if there were two-parters maybe planned for this season. And when they decided that they would rather spend the money on making fewer episodes, it makes me wonder. I don't think the mine one would have been one of these, but it makes me wonder if these scripts were edited down, and they've done a really good job, with the exception of there's always one little hiccup in them. I wondered if they edit these stories down, and that's.
I'm just not sure where the rest of the story would have gone for this, though, because that was so near the end.
I think the other one
was the resolution on this one, pretty much.
Arachnids. Well, yeah, but I think you can slide. I think you can slide that element beyond, but you realize you've still got. You may have trimmed out enough, but you've still got an hour and a half long, or an hour and 5 or 10 minutes long story. So that you make a quick spot. It's like several little edits that work, and then you've got just to do one cut, one slice.
You're not saying it would have been an episode break.
Right, exactly. That wouldn't have been the episode break.
But it could have been. It could have been that they went through the whole town with the mud monsters, and then they backed all their way up to the castle.
Well, they certainly could have been, but I don't think that would have unbalanced a 2-part episode by doing it that way too, I think. Yeah. But yes, I think maybe somewhere there has to be a hard edit, and they realize, okay, this is where we're going to hard edit the story.
This one, I know the spot you're talking about. This one in particular, I thought it was a commercial break. It felt like a full-blown...
Well, it goes to black.
Boom, fade to black, pause.
Yeah.
And I was waiting, and then my brain went, no, there isn't, not in Dr. Oh, she's opening her eye. Okay.
There's another instance of that happening early in the season, and I cannot remember for the life of me what it was. Was it in the Arachnids one? No. I don't know. It just kind of made me think. I wonder if there were a few stories that they had maybe started writing as a two. And I know I'm not even sure they probably got it entirely written as a 2-parter, but you had written so much material for the script going towards that goal of being a 2-parter that it may have come in over times anyway, so they've had to cut these.
Or even these are all new writers to the show, so
they
maybe
they
I don't know what this writer's background has been, but maybe
I have to wonder if it's a Chibnall cheat.
Yeah,
you know.
because just the scripts in general are too
Right,
long.
Right.
I wonder if it's not
Maybe not even 2-part, just
Could be.
overstuffed.
just the whole writer's room is like, oh, I got this great thing. It's going to be this epic 2-parter. It's going to be this. And then he comes in the room. I just told him we're not going to do any 2-parters this year. Throw the paper out. The one that got me was when the Mudmen first show up in Moss, and then we go to that overhead shot of the forest and the fog as they're running away. And then we cut back to the fact that they have run away. And I felt like, where was the chase? Where was the stumbling through the woods? And, that was kind of a cheat, kind of a dissolve cheat or something, Because I don't care about this drone shot of the forest. I want to go down to the ground. Where's the Mudmen? Or Mudwomen, as the grandmother was the leader. But
Yeah. Cool.
And the queen. The king never made it out of the tree.
All right, Sean, what are we going to come up on the schedule?
Well, coming up on the schedule, we have, what is this, 2 more weeks?
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks of New Who. That's NU, for those of you that like to spell.
Stop it.
Poke the bear, poke the bear, poke the bear. I'm going to poke you with a Mudman later. What is the next one, Keith? It's
It Takes You Away.
yeah, another horrible title.
It takes you away. Oh, sorry.
Well, now you've sung it. It's got to be.
I don't know any more about that.
That's your opening music for next week.
I don't think so.
I miss doing that. It Takes You Away will be our discussion topic for the following week, and then I'm not even going to try and pronounce the finale. Season 10 has got a mouthful of syllables and consonants and a very sci-fi sounding name, I think. If I could pronounce it, I would. So we've only got 2 more weeks left of that. And as always, yes, we encourage you to send us feedback and your thoughts on this season, and if you're digging it or not. Be like Holly, send feedback.
That's right. And if you're digging our podcast, please consider supporting us on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/TravelingVortex, and you can donate any amount there. Every bit helps. We appreciate it. And thanks to those already supporting us. Is there anything else we want to talk about this week before we close it? If not, until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing ya.
Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.